Hey, and welcome to my video. This will be a raw, uncut description of my current life setup, I guess, and just productivity in general. So I'm not gonna edit this at all. I'm just gonna do this in one take. So it's not more so for myself, but it's for myself to kind of track my progression and then also to share any of or share all of my techniques such that somebody can be inspired from it. So I just have like a list here and I'm gonna go through it one by one. So one thing that I do every week, starting literally last week, so it's like new, are called weekly victories. So on my homepage, I have a blog, and then every week, I've only done it for 2 weeks so far, I put the 3 victories that I have had every week. And I've just done this to be more grateful and like actually consider the success that I've had. One thing that I definitely struggle with is like not appreciating the successes and like small victories. Like that's what kind of the point of it is, to like celebrate the small victories every week. So through this, then I'm kind of forcing myself to take these into account. So I'm very happy with this new habit that I've adopted. And secondly, I have my morning and night routines. So it's pretty simple. I love paper. So I have like these pieces of paper that are like literally just kind of cut up from normal pieces of paper with everything on it. So I'll just go through item by item my morning routine first. So the first thing I do is make my bed. There's not a single day that I don't make my bed. And then I update this calendar. So I have this since my childhood. Oh, one of the numbers fell. And first of all, I just love it because it reminds me of like having this and tracking the days as like a 5-year-old kid. I'm not sure when I got this exactly, but that's the, I guess, nostalgic reason why I use it. But shoot, the secondary reason is that it like makes me aware of the passing of days, because definitely one of my main experiences of poor time management is like perhaps like in my school years in the summertime, like not even knowing like what day it was, what weekday it was, because I was just like doing nothing all day, or like just like playing games or watching YouTube, and like just not being aware that time was passing and etc. And like especially during COVID, this was a recurring trend. So this is kind of just to prevent that. Like every single day when I wake up, I have to change the number, and I'm like, okay, well, first of all, I know the date, because definitely it's embarrassing to be like, if somebody asks you what's the date and then you don't know. So this like makes me know the date. And then also it's just like, okay, every day one block is changing. So this makes me make sure that every day counts. Okay, after that, I drink water. Drinking water in the beginning of the day is very important. And then I brush my teeth, and then I motivate myself in front of the mirror. So I just kind of hype myself up after brushing my teeth. Like, let's go to myself in the reflection, and I do 20 push-ups. One YouTuber from Munich that I used to watch, he kind of said, yeah, just start your day off with like a small little achievement that you can build off of, and 20 push-ups is just that. And then I've just started doing this, and I have no evidence of its success, but I have 1 scoop of creatine. In essence, creatine is supposed to improve water absorption in cells, which by consequence has many other benefits for the body. I guess just absorbing water kind of is a good thing apparently for the cells, but I have no evidence that has helped. With that being said, I know that creatine is not like a dangerous thing, and like many people use this in the biohacking space, so I just been using it. And then my sister had these like anti-stress, like it's like this weird like Indian name pill, which apparently there's only like a few left. I just literally wanted to finish it so that it wouldn't go to waste. I hope that it's not bad, but I haven't noticed anything bad from it. But it apparently is anti-stress, helps exercise, and helps sleep. So like I was like, okay, that's pretty legit. So let's try it. And there's only like 4 left, so I'm not gonna get any more of it once it runs out, because yeah, I haven't like noticed any improvement or like worsening. So after that, I have my daily quote. So this today is consistently good is better than occasionally great. As you can see, there's many papers there, and this was more something that I started in 2023, where I was just like writing these, bring these and then putting it all across my room on the wall so I could just read them all the time. And then like I started moving around. So like the next time when I moved to the next, like after I lived somewhere for 4 months, I moved again. So instead of like putting on the wall and having to take it back down, it's just easier to like every day flip through one. And then also like you kind of focus on one, because when they're actually all on the wall, what happens is that after like a few weeks, or rather like, yeah, after a given amount of time, you'll just forget and it'll just be like the wall. But if you just flip through one every single day, then you're forced to read it. And it's kind of similar to this time thing, the calendar that I use to get like a good kind of, good phrasing to the day, good kind of mindset. And then I set good intentions for that day. And what this means is that I have like this agenda, and like I used to actually put what I was grateful for each day in my agenda as well. But then I switched everything to online. So I used to actually use that agenda for like to-do list, what I need to do, a to-do list, and then like my daily gratefulness. But then I put everything on my Remnote, which I'll talk about later, just because if it's in a digital form saved on the cloud, then if ever I lost that agenda, which I almost thought I lost, but it was actually just in my mom's car. Like, you know, in the car, in the back seat, if you're in the back seat, there's like this sleeve that you can put anything in that's like attached to the front seat, like in front of you. Anyways, that's where I lost it, but then I found it again. So yeah, it's all digital now. I'll talk about this when I reach the Remnote section. And then there's also these daily sheets that I read. So everything in here, it includes like statements about like my life and my beliefs. So one of them is like consuming versus creating, exercise, goals, like sleep. For example, I say sleep is sacred to me. I make sure that I sleep regularly and it's not bothered. And then I try to sleep I strive to sleep at the same time. I don't like saying the word try. So anyways, and there's also like family's really important to me, etc. So those are like, I call it my actual, like my current paradigm. I wrote those in 2024. So I think some of them, I mean, honestly, I haven't updated it in like more than a year, because most of them are kind of just general things which most people, I guess, would find agreeable. Like even another one is like, I like to be timely. I always take reflection before making decisions. Speed is key, etc. And then the last one is like the daily affirmation, which just says, I'll just like read 3. It says, I make my well-being a daily priority. I am kind to myself. I take breaks to do what I like. Things like this, like I found this on like I guess it was like I don't know what it was, like a university mental health website. It was just like a sheet that you could print, but then I just wrote it down on this own piece of paper to read those every day. The one issue that I really have with that is I kind of just read them mindlessly most of the time, honestly. So sometimes I like force myself to read it out loud, but it is kind of like boring, I'm not gonna lie, because I do this every single morning. So this is the one issue, is like when you have a daily routine, you have to make sure that it doesn't become a routine, such that like you actually understand, like certain routines is good that's subconscious, but like when I'm reading the daily affirmation, I want it to be conscious. So this is just something worth noting, like, and the solution to this is literally just to say it out loud, but I do not do that all the time, which is my fault. Okay, and then after that, I will read my weekly reflection. So I do a reflection every single week, and that's on my Remnote as well. So I'll just read what every single question is that I have in my weekly reflection. It is, if I can find it. When was last? I do it every Sunday, so 22 minus 7, it should have been June 15th. Okay, I found it. The first question is, what's my impression of the success this week? What allowed me to be successful? What prevented me from being successful? What are the actions that I took to take me toward my long-term goals? What can I do the next? Actually, I think I combined these. Like I had 2 that were kind of redundant. I was like, anyways, it's fixed. Like there's some redundant questions in here. What am I doing now that my future self would regret? And then those are kind of just reflection questions. And then the last 2 points, like the most important, is like, what were my goals this week? Sorry, what were my goals last week, and what were my goals this week? So I have the previous week's goals and the current week's goals, and then I read this every single day of the week. And then once I have the new weekly one, then I take those goals, put those in the previous week's goals, and then I put it there. And then like, if you have like the same goals carrying week over week, then you'll be like ashamed. And honestly, that's not good in some certain circumstances, because I've definitely had this issue where like the goal just keeps on moving from week to week without being attained. And this means that I like also see it as like a fly on the wall, which I just no longer notice and then don't accomplish. So this requires essentially an external locus, not an external locus, but rather like an external pressure. So it's going to be accountability. It's going to be pretty much anything in order to ensure that you're actually accountable to what you set every single week. And what I just discovered, and this is the third day that I'm doing this, is setting daily goals on X. So like this week's goal, you can see daily goals number 3 at noon 46 is when I set it. And like the first one is go to sleep at a regular time. That's just because yesterday there was an exception. So make sure I get back on track, make some YouTube videos. So it's the second YouTube video, I guess the first YouTube video of today, catch up on a missed meeting, do a reflection, and then also like go through my notes, which I have like the follow-up tag on, which I have not followed up on. So because of this, like it's online, and then I like in the evening address it. So the last 2 days that I've done it, like I've pretty much attained every single goal that I set out to do, and it makes you be realistic too. Like my biggest problem is setting unrealistic goals, but if I know that I'll have to be accountable to them online in the evening when I set those goals in the day, then I have to set realistic goals. So in essence, the workflow is like weekly goals, higher level. Actually, I have monthly goals too, which I'll talk about, but like mid-level weekly goals, and then like from those weekly goals, I'll take some and put it in my daily goals. But one thing I definitely need to work on is like setting better weekly goals, because my daily goals and my weekly goals kind of look the same right now. So I need to make the weekly goals slightly more ambitious so that I can break them down into my daily goals that I put on X and post there. So yeah, there's the daily goals on X, the weekly reflection, and the weekly goals on Remnote. And then the habits of the previous day. So I have a habit tracker. I'll show you right now. And it like has exercise, cold shower. I'll just make sure you can see this. Yeah, you can't see it with check boxes. So you can see like the one thing I'm really lacking on is SR, spaced repetition. I haven't done it in a really long time, which is shameful. And my calendar is supposed to allow this to happen, but it has not yet. So I need to be more accountable to my calendar. But in essence, it's just very simple. It's a Google Sheet with every single habit that I want to have, and I put a check mark there. And that's kind of like the mini reward, because habits are broken down into 3 stages. So there's the cue, the action, the reward. And I'll talk about my trigger system soon. But at least in terms of like the reward of each habit, I see this as like a delayed reward. Of course, it's best to have like the reward right after your habit. But for some of them, I just like put the check marks, and this is the next day. So the next day, like once the day's done, then the next morning, I'll just check off all the habits that I've done. So this is also part of my morning routine, like at the very end. And actually that's everything for my morning routine. So now let's move on to the next item, which I had, which is the triggers. Okay, so yes, here are all my triggers, which are just like the habit action like loop. I think there's acronym for this, like TAG, like trigger action something. It's pretty much just like a habit forming technique. And it just says that if you attach a like specific time or specific event to when a habit should begin or happen, then it will be much more likely. And this was like shown in the survey where participants said like, when I get home at 6 p.m., I'm gonna put on my shoes and work out versus like, I'm gonna work out. So obviously the first goal is much more specific and attached to something which is like the trigger. So here are all my triggers. One is after 5 p.m., I do not eat anymore. So this is not actually a trigger that I follow. I probably have to update this. Like for example, today I'm gonna eat at 6 p.m. Yeah, I don't really have much to say. Like it's definitely not good when you have things that you don't follow, because then it could like make the things which you do follow unfollowed. Like I'm trying to formulate this in a better way, but in essence, everything that you set up like as a habit and a weekly trigger, etc., this should be something that you should follow because if not, if you don't follow one of them, then this may lead to a slippery slope where you start to not follow the other ones. So I should update this. Like, honestly, doing this video is making me realize that this is an unrealistic trigger because I'm not following it currently. So I might change this to after 6 p.m. I will not eat anymore. Okay, and the next one is in the afternoon. So it says after 12 p.m. I will have exercise, which is true. I always exercise in the morning. And then another one is before every meal, I will put away my electronic devices, which is just mostly my phone. I literally don't have my phone ever. So this is like almost like a moat statement. But after this, we have after taking my shower, which is in the morning, and like going to my desk, I will check my email for the only time. I only check my email once a day because I don't want to be checking my email every 15 minutes, which is a problem that many people face. And then also I have here that once I like get set up in the morning, I'll read through some of the notes that I have in my RemNote. And like some of these notes are like about startups and like life philosophy, I guess, like being on time and how to behave, etc. But I don't really do this, so I need to update this as well. Mostly it's just check my email once a day in the morning. And then another one is before I begin actually working in the morning, I will have set my daily goals. And this was very hard and I never succeeded before I began the sharing my daily goals on Twitter, because beforehand I would just not do it. I don't know, I would just start working and it was very bad because I would have this nearsightedness where I just work on the first shiny thing. And this gives me the opportunity to say that as a heuristic, it is very useful to work on the thing which is most uncomfortable to you at that given moment. I was told this by one of the how do I say it? One of the people who runs the program that I'm currently participating in Finland. So yeah, this is a very useful thing that I have written down now on my laptop, which I'll show. I have like another kind of set of quotes that I followed on my laptop. But getting back to the point, yeah, I just before would not do this at all and then pretty much just do my day as addressing everything that was urgent and not important. And this makes it so that I have to send that tweet. So like I literally sent this tweet and then I begin working. So it's like a concrete thing that before I work, I have to set this out, and it makes me set my day up so that I will have a higher level view of what I'm doing and not just being nearsighted. And then another one is after entering my room, I'll put my phone in its place, which is just to say like I put my phone in like this corner by the door so that I don't ever use my phone like inside my room. And actually don't ever is definitely an exaggeration. For example, I will like sometimes listen to an audiobook in my room, so then I have to take my phone. But in general, this trigger just says once I get into my room, I have to put my phone away so that I'm not using my phone, because you can waste so much time in your room if you're just on your phone. It's crazy. And then one way that I need to make this trigger more visceral so that it actually works is a technique which is essentially focusing on sensation. So what you would instead say is, once I feel the door handle and feel the opening and this metallic sensation on my hand, it's a visceral sensation. At this point, once I step into the room, I'll put my phone away. And this is very effective. Of course, I don't have evidence for this, but it's just sensically, it makes sense that it will work, because you're making this a more detailed description such that it will become a habit faster. Because if you like, for the first few times, intentionally like associate this feeling of the doorknob and the metallic and the twist of the doorknob with putting your phone away, then it'll start become a habit. So this is just one thing that you can incorporate in your triggers, is to make it visceral. Like another example, actually, what is another example? Another one that is like, is the same thing, but if you want to avoid taking the elevator when you get to work, for example, I should stop saying for example, is the same thing. It's like when you imagine your work has like those door handles where it's like a big vertical like pull that you have to like open like this. It's like, okay, once I feel the weight of this door against my arm and I have to pull, then I will look to the right. And this means that I'm assuming that the stairs are to the right. So like, as soon as you feel this weight on your arm, then it's a sensation that you'll be able to associate with this habit. And then as soon as you look to the right, then the work is almost done because you won't even be looking at the elevator anymore. So this is just one more example and I will stop. Okay, and then another one is just after turning on my computer for the first time of the day, I will read my daily motivational reminders. I'll show you that. So this just means like, I really have a lot of these. Like I have them here on this, in this duotang, and then I have them here like in short form. I think it might be just it's too much, but I don't really mind, and it doesn't take that much time out of my day. Like it's like a minute it's on the order of minutes, so I don't really care. I think it's kind of cool too, or not. I don't think it's not cool, but I think it's useful to like just remind yourself these things while striving to actually internalize them instead of just reading them subconsciously and not taking them in. And then the last one is like specific to being in Finland is that after talking with my mom at 7 p.m. or actually it says, after talking with my mom, I talk with my mom every day at 7 p.m. So after this phone call, I will turn on the sauna because I go to the sauna every evening in order to relax, and then also going to the sauna helps you sleep. So this is another thing to remind me to turn on the sauna, and this is still a work in progress because some nights I've forgotten to turn on the sauna, and then I get disappointed when I cannot do going to the sauna before sleeping. Sure, so now I have talked about the triggers, and then I've mentioned the daily, the weekly, and the weekly objectives, and then I have the daily and the weekly on RemNote, but then for whatever reason, I think it's just easier because it's only once a month, so 12 times a year. I just write it on these papers, and then it's also cool because you can just like gather them. So like I haven't done this at all, but like for 2024, I can like get all 12 of my monthly goals and see, like I could analyze them and see what's happening. It would definitely be better to write that on my computer because then I could just get an LLM to analyze it, but I probably won't analyze it anyways. That's just wishful thinking. But in terms of like monthly goals, they're more high level. So for example, I say have weekly goals have weekly goals in my monthly goals. Make a YouTube video every day, which has been successful recently but wasn't at the beginning. Run every day. Always be doing challenges. One thing I really believe is like always doing challenges. Make sure that you're being sharp and you're not becoming not restless, but becoming complacent. So right now, like I'm doing a social media detox. Like I actually would always love to be doing this. Like I'd never want to use social media, but like it's more intentional now because I'm like doing this challenge. So it's like I'm making a real thing out of nothing. And then other challenges I've done in the past is like waking up all the time at like a specific time, and like having this challenge kind of just puts order into your life and makes it easier to achieve other things. And then another one that I have here in my monthly goals is check off the boxes of my daily habits check off all the boxes every single day, which has not been successful as you probably saw the spaced repetition one. I have not succeeded that actually at all since coming to Finland. So I will be reviewing these let me write this down right now. I will be reviewing these. I'm going to write down, review my monthly goals because it's not effective right now. So yeah, this is not, it's not good at all that my monthly goals are being wasted. Sorry, why can't I? Oh, there you go. It's my reminders. Add a reminder, monthly goals. One thing that also I would recommend is whenever you have an idea, just write it down, because the worst feeling that I always get is having an idea in my head and then not writing it down and then you forget it. So yeah, okay, what's next? So that was my monthly goals, like set monthly goals. It's pretty easy, honestly. You just have to like block 30 minutes of your time once a month and put away your phone and you can get it done. And then I have my Apple reminders, which are here. So I have like recurrent reminders. Like this one is like the weekly victories, which I have like every Friday. And then I have another one, which is send 5 DMs once a week on X to like researchers and other people, which I just started again, like doing because for like 3 months I had not done it at all. And then another one is every Sunday I have the weekly review. And then every Sunday I also clean my retainer, like my mouth retainer. So I just have these like once a week. And one thing is that I used to have these goals, these weekly things where I would give a project update on X, a learning insight on X, and a machine learning tip. But since like 3 months, I have not. So I need to decide either to remove these or to actually begin doing this again. But anyways, Apple reminders, we set these things like for my weekly goals so that, for example, I don't forget like to do the weekly reflection. So it makes sure that I don't forget to do weekly reflection. That's it. I already mentioned the phone placement, which is to say that I put my phone away. And one thing is that when I go to work, luckily, like I work in the same place that I live. That's just to say like it's in the co-working space. I leave my phone here in my room. And if you work somewhere else, then it's easy. Just put your phone, like hide your phone somewhere at your workplace so that you don't like use your phone. It's really simple. Your phone is likely your biggest enemy. So put it away and try to use it as sparingly as possible and only for things that are essential. Yeah, just put your phone away. In fact, there's a study that said that people who had their phone on their desk, even if they didn't use it, it still took their mental bandwidth. Like literally, if your phone is just sitting on your desk like this, it will like sap energy from your brain. It's insane. And then I have my calendar. So, so you can see here, like I just have everything in my day planned. Because I do not follow religiously at all. It's pretty embarrassing, but it's better to have something than nothing. So for example, today I woke up at like 10, so I had to modify it. But ideally my day would have it in a manner that's like this. So you just kind of, you get like, you don't get reminders on your phone, but it's just like says, okay, it's time to eat now. And then it helps you to like actually eat and not like continue working, because this is like a bad thing if you just skip a meal and say, okay, let me just work for one more hour. It's not good for you. So the calendar helps to ensure that it doesn't actually ensure it, but it guides me. It cajoles me to actually do what I should at every given point of the day. Okay, yeah. Exercise, I exercise every day. I said running every day. Exercise every day is very important. I also meditate every day, and that was in my daily habit checklist on Google Sheets. And I already mentioned that I have the daily gratefulness, which I do on my Remnote, as well as, what is this? Daily gratefulness and calendar. Oh yeah, I just have my calendar. I don't know why I have this twice. Maybe this is referring to something else. Sorry, I'm just trying to think here what I have calendar twice in my list of things for the video. But anyways, right now I'll just show you like Remnote. So every single day there's a new tab that's made, and I just put everything that I think of in a given day. Like if I talk with somebody and I hear an idea, I just put it here. It's like my knowledge base. And then I have like some other categories here. It's not perfect, but it works. And then like, for example, today I have put all the categories of the things that I would like to talk to in this list, just so I know what I'm talking about. So that is Remnote. And then I have like voice recordings, which I started. I used to journal, but took too long. And also I would just talk about the day, but then if I read that stuff in a year, it would be useless to me because I don't remember any of those things. And now I've just started doing a voice message every single evening around like, after I come back from the sauna, like 5 minutes. Actually, I think on average, maybe like 3 minutes. And I talk about what happens in the day, but also just try to talk about like what I'm feeling, what my life is like, etc. And sorry, the idea here is that I can refer to it like in the future, and then also like you can use LLMs to transcribe audio now, like with like it's 100% accuracy. So it's just faster than writing or journaling. And then what I want to do at some point is whenever there's an LLM that comes out, which can analyze all your voice messages and then take insights out of it, or like summarize or split up your life into different phases, then I really want to use that. So I think this is cool future direction where you can use these voice recordings, which is like the most efficient way, I believe, to record your day-to-day of life as opposed to just writing it down, because of speaking being faster than writing. And then I also split my day up into 10-minute sections. So I've been doing this like very consistently, so I'm pretty proud of it. But in essence, just wait for it to load. I have like my day split up into 240 pieces, which is 24 times, 24 times 6, which would be 48 times 3, which is 144. So my day split up into 144 slices, and every 10 minutes I write down what I did, or I just choose from this menu. And it's probably a stupid thing that I'm doing and a waste of time, but what it does ensure is that I don't ever slip up, which is to say, like, without thinking, spend like an hour on something that is useless. Because if I do, then I'll have to record it, and then I'll realize that I wasted time on that. So like knowing like subconscious, like, I don't know if this is a good thing to do, honestly, because it kind of like takes up a lot of your mental capacity. Like, because honestly now I like subconsciously like kind of look at the time always to say like, okay, it's 2:50 now. So just remember that it was 2:50 when I stopped doing this, so I can put it in the Google Sheets. So there's no telling if I'll continue doing this in the future. Yeah, I really have nothing to say else other than that. It just is a calendar, which is, it's a Google Sheet, which is split up into 10-minute sections, and I record my entire life on this. Okay, what's the next thing? I also have another homepage. So this one just has all my links. So one thing that I do is I record all my reading on Goodreads, which is very important for me because I want to remember what I read, and I'm trying to start to do reviews now so that I remember what I liked and didn't like about each book. And then I also have a Strava account for running, and then I have my 2 YouTube accounts here. That's really all I wanted to show on this website. Okay, sorry, what's next? Daily habits. I think that was just the Google Sheet that I was referring to. So I'm pretty much done. The last thing is that, so I stopped. I was doing a alarm in the morning for like a week, because I usually alternate between no alarm and alarm, and I've turned it off again because I just prefer to wake up naturally, and I don't want to cut a sleep cycle in half. So I do not sleep with an alarm currently, but I have an alarm at 8:40 p.m., which is my go-to sleep alarm, or rather go-to sauna alarm. Because this is seemingly obvious once you think about it, but how come we have an alarm to wake up but don't have an alarm to go to sleep? If you want to sleep on a consistent basis at least, because it has happened to me millions of times where I just like, I'm working on something and then kind of just lose track of time, and all of a sudden it's like 11 p.m. or midnight. So this is not good if you want to sleep at a consistent time, and therefore having a sleep alarm go to sleep alarm is very effective. So I just have that on my phone set up. Yeah, so let me just make sure I didn't miss anything. There's one more thing that I should add. So I don't really do this consistently, but if you do like Pomodoros, pomofocus.io is good. It prevents you from multitasking, which is really bad. So you kind of set up a 60-minute timer, 50-minute timer, whatever you want, and then you say what you're going to do in that time span. So it keeps you accountable and like prevents you from just context switching between different things, which is really bad. And I do this often, so I'm not saying that I've refined this whatsoever. I also have a document called Commitments, which is split up into 4 sections, which is to say by season. So every season of the year, I like put what I'm gonna do. So like for the fall of 2025, I have like all of the things which I've applied to or might be able to do there, just like, so at least for me in my current phase of life, like every 4 months I do something different. So if I like start working, well, who knows? I don't really want to become an employee that has like a menial job, but for the time being, I have this thing where every 4 months of my life is like split up into these in this commitment document. So I record what I'm doing in this specific 4 months, and that's for the current time. But in the future, I like plan what I'm doing ahead, so that Like I know all of the programs that I've applied to for the fall of 2025, and I can already have a impression of what my life will look like at that point, so that it doesn't surprise me, or that I don't have anything to do. I don't not have anything to do when fall comes around. And then I was listening to this audiobook, which was really like just, it was kind of, it wasn't really like, it was just about like goal setting and motivation, and it wasn't really that top notch. But one thing that they said is like, put a image somewhere in your life that you'll see often that you like, that reminds you like, why are you living? Why are you like doing what you're doing? And what's the point? What's the purpose? So I just changed my wallpaper from the default one on Apple to like, I just asked ChatGPT to like make this image of like showing growth. And I said, put a galaxy and a rocket ship. So you can see here, it just put a spaceship with like a tree on it and a galaxy, because I want to grow and I want to improve life, and I want to, how do I explain it? I want to make things better, which is like very ambiguous, but that's how ambiguous my current like 10-year, 20-year long-term goals are. So that's what's happening right now. I'd encourage you to like maybe print something. So like if you have a family and you're really invested in a family, then like put an image that like is of a family or something, and then you'd be like reminded of the importance of your family every single day, for example. And then also you might have saw, like I just have this sticky note here, and that's what I referred to when I said every time I open my computer, I read these, which are just like more maxims of life. For example, like there's one that says smile. There's one that says I love teaching because I like making YouTube videos. There's another one that says 12-week goes by fast because I'm in this 12-week program and it goes by fast. So I want to be conscious of this and not be rendered in the last week of the program and wondering where the time went. Yeah. This is everything. I've definitely missed something, but I didn't expect to be able to do everything. It's kind of hard to like track everything that I'm doing, to be honest. Of course, RemNote is just it's a note app, but also it has flashcards. So this is what I was talking about, the spaced repetition. It's really amazing if you use it properly, which I don't currently, and I will. Yeah, I think that's everything. Yeah. Don't have much else to say. I've just started once again intermittent fasting, so I try to like eat at noon and then have my last meal at 5 p.m., which is what is on my trigger list, but I don't actually do that because I'm gonna eat at 6 p.m. today. So I definitely will stop eating late because it's better for your sleep if you eat as soon as possible and like kind of be in a fasted state once you're sleeping. Not in a fasted state, but just like the longer the gap between falling asleep and having your last meal, the better, in essence. And another thing is like I avoid light in the evening because it's bad for your sleep. It suppresses melatonin secretion. Yeah, I think that's everything. So thanks for watching.